Grow your own groceries with homemade fertilizers. There was a time when people gardened because backyard produce was much better and cheaper than anything from the shop. To tell the truth, it still is, or at least it still can be. The trick is knowing that back within the day, people use their own compost and homemade fertilizers. Yet some are convinced that you have to spend a bundle of money to have a really nice, healthy garden. I think that this misconception grew out of the very fact that the majority of people have backyards that are crammed with really poor, weak soil. The reasons for this are complicated, a subject for another day. Suffice it to say that if the soil is weak, your plants will also be weak. And so it follows that weak plants have poor production, leading to more time and money spent on a low quantity of low-quality vegetables. Healthy soil equals healthy plants. This means that you need to enrich your soil. Because most people are not making their own compost at home, they need to buy fertilizer. Plant fertilizers purchased from the local garden center often contain chemicals which will harm your plants and aren't environmentally friendly. In addition, fertilizer can be a bit pricey, and this is most likely why the myth that home gardens are expensive continues. This is not necessarily true. You needn't spend a bundle of money because, believe it or not, you are full of fertilizer. Make your own homemade fertilizers. Making your own organic fertilizer is straightforward and fun. It should be noted that the majority of people understand that the simplest thanks to get good garden soil is to use compost to amend the soil. Of course, that is true. Compost can be made at home out of leftover food scraps and lawn clippings, and so it is virtually cost-free. Composting may be all one needs for a successful home vegetable crop. If, however, the soil is still lacking in nutrients, or if you are planting a more demanding vegetable garden, augmenting with another type of fertilizer may be advisable. So why spend good money on store-bought fertilizer when you can make it yourself with just a little information? Nourishing nutrients for prolific plants. The key to an honest garden is sweet soil. Of the essential nutrients plants need to thrive, most of them are found in soil. Nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, and to a lesser extent calcium, magnesium, and sulfur are called macronutrients, and these are the nutrients that plants need most. The remaining micronutrients can be supplied in smaller amounts even by some of the poorest soils out there. While it may not be the most exciting of gardening topics, nothing is more important than having a basic understanding of fertilizer. Just like you and I need nourishment, so do plants. Understanding just a small bit of information about fertilizer can go a long way toward helping your garden to grow big, strong, healthy plants on a light budget. Before we look at some inexpensive homemade fertilizers, let's look briefly at the subject in general. All fertilizers fall into one of two basic categories: chemical synthetic or natural organic. Organic fertilizers versus synthetic fertilizers. Chemical synthetic fertilizers are manufactured using synthetic substances that usually contain highly concentrated forms of nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium. These are the NPK values listed on the fertilizer packaging. These fertilizers work quickly because they feed the plants directly. But they do come with a downside: they do not improve the soil itself, and they can, over time, even destroy the beneficial organisms needed for healthy soil. When you use large quantities of this inorganic stuff over and over again, its byproducts will actually build up in the soil, and in time they can hinder plant growth. Organic natural fertilizers often use alfalfa meal, cottonseed meal, or fish emulsion to supply nitrogen, bone meal or rock phosphate to supply phosphorus, and kelp meal or granite meal to supply potassium. The downside here is that they work much more slowly, first breaking down in the soil into forms that the plant roots can more easily absorb, then making their way up the plant roots to your hungry plants. Organic natural fertilizers, on the opposite hand, don't feed the plants directly but rather add essential nutrients to the soil where they become available to the plants more slowly, over time.